This is the story of the Bibas family, Shiri, Ariel, Kfir, and Yarden, whose lives were violently shattered during the October 7th, 2023 Hamas-led attack.
Kfir Bibas and her babies were kidnapped alive. A mother's desperate attempts to protect her children. They vanished into Hamas's tunnels.
Their story exposed the human cost of conflict and became a symbol of both suffering and the longing for justice. The Bibas family lived in kibbutz near Oz, a tight-knit farming community near the Gaza border. Shiri, 32, was a gentle and creative mother who loved photography and gardening. Her eldest son, Ariel, was 4 years old, full of curiosity and energy. Her baby, Kfir, was just 9 months old, known for his bright red hair and toothless smile. Yarden, 34, was a calm, loving father. The family's close bond extended to Shiri's parents, who also lived nearby, making theirs a warm, family-oriented home. On the morning of October 7th, that peaceful life was destroyed. Terrorists, Hamas, stormed near Oz during a large-scale attack that killed civilians, burned homes, and took dozens of hostages into Gaza. The Bibas family was targeted that day. Shiri clutched Kfir tightly in her arms as armed men dragged her and Ariel away. Yarden was seized separately. In an instant, the family was torn apart. Images of the baby with his bright orange hair quickly spread across the world. Social media lit up with outrage and heartbreak. Candlelight vigils were held in multiple cities. The Bibas family became a symbol of the innocent lives caught in the crossfire of war. People hoped for their safe return, but as weeks passed, information about their fate was scarce. Shiri, Ariel, and Kfir were dragged into the dark dungeon of Gaza and held hostage there. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, spent in the cold, damp, narrow spaces underground. Light became a distant memory. They could hear, but not see, any confusion, fear, or chaos above. When bombs shook the earth, the tunnels trembled like unstable graves, and Yarden felt the entire world collapse around him. In those tunnels, food was scarce. Hostages described being given barely a few bites, a half pita, a small scoop of rice, a sliver of water a day. Starvation gnawed at their strength. Others lost vast amounts of weight until they were shadows of themselves. They were not merely hungry, they were dehumanized. In unsanitary holding places, lice crawled over them. Buckets served as toilets. Some were chained, others beaten, burned, or interrogated. Emotional torment was relentless. Guards told them they were forgotten, that rescue would never come, pushing them into a darkness far worse than the physical spaces they inhabited. Some hostages were moved between grim safe houses, apartments or hiding spots, where they served as cleaning labor, washing dishes they could not eat, tidying yards they would never leave. A few women were held as if slaves in a villa, tasked with domestic chores, but watched closely by armed guards. They rarely saw daylight. Some spent more than 200 days without seeing the sky. Every night felt potentially final. Every day, a despairing effort to survive. Yarden Bibas himself spent most of his imprisonment in those dank tunnels, lying on moldy mattresses. He lived for months without certainty that he would live through the next day. He replayed memories of his home, of his wife Shiri's voice, Ariel's laughter, baby Kfir's smile, to hold on to hope, even as despair pressed in from all sides. These were more than cages or holding cells. They were psychological prisons where captives were broken piece by piece, starved, gagged, beaten, threatened, with hope strangled out of them more efficiently than air in these underground graves. Reports later confirmed that Shiri and her children had been handed over to another militant faction while Yarden remained in Hamas custody. Videos released by their captors showed Shiri holding her terrified children, a scene that haunted millions. Their captors used them as propaganda tools, spreading fear while denying their family any comfort or updates. Months passed, and the uncertainty deepened. Hamas later claimed the family had been killed in an airstrike, but there was no proof. The Bibas family's relatives clung to hope. Yarden's fate was also unclear. There were rumors he had been killed, but his body was never returned. Then, in February 2025, the truth finally emerged.
The horrific truth. Ariel and Kfir were murdered in captivity, torn from their mother's arms, and returned without her. Kidnapped together, they came back alone. Hamas is pure evil and must be eradicated.
After months of negotiations, Hamas handed over bodies from Gaza. Among them were the remains of Ariel and Kfir.
The Israeli nation mourns as thousands attend the funeral procession for slain Gaza hostages Shiri, Ariel, and Kfir Bibas, who were laid to rest together in one casket on Wednesday near Kibbutz Nir Oz.
Forensic experts confirmed that the two children had been brutally murdered in captivity. Evidence revealed that they were not killed in fighting or airstrikes, but deliberately murdered by their captors. Their tiny skulls had been crushed. The devastation was unimaginable. An unidentified woman's body was also handed over, initially believed to be Shiri. Tests revealed it was not her. A day later, Shiri's real remains were returned. DNA testing confirmed she, too, had been murdered in captivity. Investigators said the bodies had been deliberately mutilated to mislead and deceive those trying to recover them. For the family, this was a devastating blow after more than a year of uncertainty. The funeral of Shiri and her children was held in late February 2025 at the Tzoher Regional Cemetery near Nir Oz.
Shiri, do you remember our last decision in the shelter? I asked you, fight or surrender? You told me fight, so I fought. Shiri, I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. If only I had known what would happen.
Tens of thousands of people lined the roads, waving orange balloons in memory of baby Kfir's hair.
Crowds gathered in Tel Aviv's Hostages Square to pay their respects. The Knesset also held a minute of silence for the slain family, and Israeli President Herzog shared a post on Twitter expressing his sympathies.
The three were laid to rest together in a single casket, placed near the graves of Shiri's parents, who were also killed on October 7th. The nation grieved together, and the family's story became one of the most emotional and widely shared tragedies of the war. In the months that followed, Israeli forces carried out targeted operations against those responsible. Several leaders of the militant group that kidnapped and murdered the Bibas family were killed. Among them were high-ranking commanders who had organized the attack on Nir Oz and overseen the family's captivity. The story of the Bibas family also drew attention to the dark role of propaganda in war. While investigators presented evidence of their brutal killings, some commentators accused governments and militants alike of manipulating narratives for political purposes. The family's relatives spoke publicly, asking for privacy and expressing frustration with how details of their loved ones' deaths had been shared without warning. Despite the political battles, one fact remained. A mother and her two small children were brutally killed after being kidnapped from their home, and their story became a symbol of innocent lives destroyed by hatred. Their images, especially the photo of baby Kfir in his mother's arms, touched millions and fueled calls to end hostage-taking and protect civilians. The Bibas family should have lived in peace, surrounded by love. Instead, they were turned into pawns in a violent conflict they had no part in. Their tragedy is a reminder of the terrible human cost of war. It is a call for justice, compassion, and a world where children are never used as tools of terror. Shiri, Ariel, and Kfir Bibas will not be forgotten. Their story lives on as a symbol of innocence lost and a plea for peace. May their memory be a blessing and a reminder to protect the most vulnerable among us.
אתה רוצה לעלות? בוא.